I'd like to welcome you to this 40th Yahrzeit dinner honoring Rabbi Tzvi Aryeh Rosenfeld, the American Breslov pioneer. Could you believe this? What a mechubad dinner. Look what's going on around here. Look how many people are here. These are the Taiter Hasidim? Doesn't seem that way. My name is Dombrowsky, and I will be your master of ceremonies tonight. We prepared what we hope is a beautiful, inspiring program filled with memories from some of Rabbi Rosenfeld's closest Talmidim, as well as presentations from some of his newer students. I'd like to share with you a story. In 1807, Rabbi Nachman suddenly left on a most mysterious journey to Lemberg. His health was declining, and while in Lemberg, he nearly died. He was so sick that in order to save his life, he was forced to send back to Breslov his trusted Gabbai, Reb Shimon, to burn one of his precious manuscripts, later known as the Sefer HaNisra. He was crying, hysterically crying, to Reb Shimon that he lost his wife and his children over this book. And now he knew that if he would reveal it, he would have to die as well. He didn't know what to do. Before he left to Lemberg, Rav Nosson describes in his diary the fear he had of losing his Rebbe and his urgency to catch up with the Rebbe's coach and see him one last time. Early in the morning, Rabbi Nachman left without warning. Rav Nosson literally ran after the coach, even though it was silly to think that he could catch it on foot. He ran and ran to the end of the village. The Rebbe's coach was forced to slow down while ascending a little mountain, and then finally, Rav Nosson caught up with the carriage. He was standing before the Rebbe for what could have been the last time. The Rebbe asked him, "Tell me what you want. Should I bless you, or should I say Torah?" Rav Nosson answered him, "You'll bless us when you come back home, Emir Hashem. But the Torah tell us now." Rav Nosson understood that if he didn't hear the Torah now, he would never hear it again. It was there, in the wagon, that the Rebbe taught him the conclusion of Azamra, the famous lesson about Nekudos Tovos, one of the most indispensable lessons Rabbi Nachman left us with. In my mind, this story epitomizes what a Breslover Chassid is. And this story personifies Rabbi Tzvi Aryeh Rosenfeld. Clearly, Rav Nosson felt a responsibility to the world to learn as much Torah from Rabbi Nachman as he possibly could. It wasn't nearly as important to him to get a bracha, or for that matter to have any amount of serenity in his life. His dedication to his holy Rebbe caused him scorn, humiliation, and great suffering. The same could be said about Rabbi Rosenfeld. I've heard stories of policemen coming to assure him, of parents of his students threatening to kill him for introducing them to mitzvah observance. His little base medrash was seen in the community by some to be a cult, but Rabbi Rosenfeld did not seek Rabbi Nachman's bracha. He wanted to make sure that the Rebbe's Torah wasn't lost forever. Doing Jewish outreach in New York in the 50s was unheard of. Add to that teaching Breslov, when the name Rabbi Nachman was completely unknown in America, is what makes Rabbi Rosenfeld a true trailblazer. For such a Talmid Chacham to speak eloquently in English was extremely unique. His amazing ability to reach Sephardic and Ashkenazic youth was truly unprecedented. Over his 30-plus years as an educator, he recorded more than 1,000 classes in Ein Yaakov, Halacha, Navi, and other Breslov works. These classes have affected the lives of thousands of people long after his passing. Rabbi Tzvi Aryeh Rosenfeld is legendary. He was making noise in Shemayim in the 60s and 70s, and his light is still shining strong today. Some of the people in this room personally knew Rabbi Rosenfeld, and a number of them claim that their relationship with him and the lessons he taught them changed their life forever. But it's already obvious that there is a younger generation of English speakers that found a refuge in Breslov, in Uman, and ultimately in the teachings of Rabbi Rosenfeld and his students. For example, the 2-volume series Rabbi Nachman's Soul, based on Rabbi Rosenfeld's classes in Sichos Haran, and edited by our dear friend, the musician and teacher Rabbi Shlomo Katz, who couldn't be here tonight because he's actually in Uman running a trip, is only about a year old, that series, and the feedback has already been so good and broad that there are requests to translate it into other languages. There is a serious need for Rabbi Rosenfeld's certainty and absolute clarity today. This brings me to my personal story. What's my connection and why am I up here on this stage? I grew up in the 5 towns and went to a modern yeshiva through high school. After getting tossed out of a number of schools, I made a drastic change and enrolled in a serious yeshiva with intensive Torah learning. Over the next 10 years, I got married, started a family, and led a life of working and learning in New York. In 2011, we were zocha to move to Israel. I was thriving with a morning kolo schedule and working American hours in the evenings. But after 20 years in the Olam HaTorah, in the summer of 2016, without warning, I started to feel really dry in my avodas Hashem. I was having a hard time learning, but what's even worse was I couldn't daven. I couldn't even step foot into shul. I've always been growth-oriented, and this Yerida was very difficult for me. I consulted with Rabbanim with who I was close. I sat for hours with friends talking about my situation. That summer, I rented a car and left RBS every day, traveling some of the country looking for answers. I met a bunch of new friends who empathized with my situation, but really no one could help me. Rosh Hashanah was approaching, and I was dreading it. For the last 4 years, I davened for the Amud in my shul, a Yomim Noraim, and I couldn't even imagine going to shul, let alone leading the Kehillah. I remember that my brother-in-law, Shaya Sussman from New York, goes to Uman every Rosh Hashanah. And although I never really particularly liked Breslovers, sorry, but it was always Rabbi Nachman this, Rabbi Nachman that. Like, do you believe in any other rabbis? But I loved the idea of skipping out of town, getting away from all the pressure, and doing my own thing. And I was told that there are all types of people in Uman, so I don't need to worry. Uman was very exciting. Anyone who knows me knows that I love to sing and dance, and there was such a buzz. My brother-in-law made me promise that I won't be one of those cynics who come to Uman and don't go into the Tzion to say the Tikkun HaKlali. So on Erev Rosh Hashanah, I went in to say it. I gave tzedakah, I started the prakim, and it was flooded with Hurhurei Tshuva. I started to cry uncontrollably, sobbing like I never sobbed before. But what was most unusual was I was overwhelmed with this feeling that the tzaddik was reaching out to me, saying, I've been waiting for you to come to me. It's okay now. You came. You're here with me now. I left the Tzion in a daze. I sat down on the sidewalk nearby and I cried for another 5 minutes. After pulling myself together, I felt so determined to figure out what's going on here in Uman. Why is everyone so happy? Who is Rabbi Nachman? I promised myself that when I got back to Israel, I would learn the Sfarim and see for myself what this is all about. And that I did. With a lot of siyata d'shmaya, I plugged away at the Sfarim. I had help from teachers and friends, and especially from BRI's English Annotated Likutei Moharan. Torah's Breslov spoke right to my heart and felt so relatable to me. I was totally renewed, learning and davening like never before. Soon after, I heard Rav Moshe Weinberger say that just like Rav Nassim was able to relate all of Shulchan Aruch to the lessons of Likutei Moharan, so too, every person should be able to write a book how their life can be understood in Torah Aleph, and how their experiences and struggles shine through in Torah Beis, etc. This thought struck me so deep and rang true for me. I started sharing my insights on a WhatsApp group, and eventually started my own blog called mybreslovblog.com, and then I added Instagram, and now I'm sharing my ideas and life experiences with hundreds of followers, sharing my ideas and life experiences and exposing them to the lessons of Rabbi Nachman and inspiring them. One such follower's name, but really a leader in his own right, is my sweetest friend Bobby Rosenberg, the birthday boy. He's a student of Rabbi Rosenfeld. Bobby calls me up one day and says, I subscribed to your blog, and I went back and read every post. It's unbelievable. I have a job for you. With Rav Chaim Kramer's leadership and Bobby's daily chizuk calls, I started working on editing Rabbi Rosenfeld's 8 Yaakov Shiurim that relate to Mashiach, Gan Eden, and Tchias HaMesim. This inspiring project, as well as a number of other similar projects, are part of what we'd like to showcase here tonight. Rabbi Rosenfeld's clarity and wisdom is manifest throughout his classes. They are just as relevant today as ever, and we're living in a time when the Jewish people are thirsting for his strengthening words of faith. It's my prayer, and really the prayer of all of Rabbi Rosenfeld's dedicated students, that Be'ezras Hashem, we can perpetuate these teachings and keep inspiring ourselves and others to strengthen our faith and our relationship with Hashem, one by one, keeping Rabbi Nachman's fire aflame until Mashiach comes. B'mheira b'yameinu, amen.